When I first moved to America, I just assumed that I was starting my degree with 0 college credits. Then, after one conversation with my university, before I'd even taken my first class, they awarded me 24 college credits for free, just for learning that I'd already done. The crazy part is that I didn't take an exam, I didn't do any extra coursework. All I did was I asked one question that most international students never ask. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it happened, why universities sometimes recognise previous qualifications, and how you can check whether you already have college credit too. Let's start with why I decided to ask in the first place. When I arrived in America, I fully expected I was just starting my degree from scratch. But when I started looking through my general education requirements, the maths looked pretty straightforward to me. One of the classes was actually called elementary mathematics, and I thought, well, that's high school level, isn't it? Before going, I'd also heard a couple of people say that the last year of UK school was actually the same as the first year of US university. So I started wondering, I've probably already studied some of this. I had no idea whether my university would recognise this, but there was no harm in asking. So I went to the registrar's office to ask them if my previous qualifications could count for my degree. I was absolutely blown away with what they told me. Now, if you've never heard of the registrar's office before, it's basically just the university department that handles things like student records, transcripts, and credit evaluations. So I explained to them that I'd completed my A-levels in the UK, and I explained that there was some overlap with the content, and I asked whether any of this could count towards my degree. The person I spoke to started looking at my qualifications on their computer, and almost immediately after they said, "It looks like you have some potential credit here. We'll need to complete a credential evaluation first." So at this point, they weren't actually promising me any credit, they just were comparing my old qualifications to their university courses to see whether there was any overlap and whether they would be equivalent. In other words, they weren't giving me credit for free, they were just checking whether I'd already covered the same material somewhere else. At that point, I honestly thought I could get credit for 1 or 2 classes maybe if I was lucky. But a few days later, I received an email with the results, and she told me I got 24 college credits. 20 of these were open electives, and at the time I had no idea what that meant. And 4 of these actually fulfilled general education requirements. I was genuinely shocked. Like, before I'd even completed my first college class, I'd already gained credits that could allow me to graduate earlier, and by a lot. And that's when I realised that I wasn't starting my college degree with 0 credits after all. Now, getting that email was really exciting, but I didn't understand what those credits actually meant until I looked at my degree audit. In the US, most bachelor's degrees require around 120 college credits to graduate. So instead of starting with 120 credits remaining, I was actually starting with 96. That's roughly the equivalent of an entire semester and a half already completed. And it's important, like I said before, to understand that my university wasn't just giving me free college credit. They were recognising learning I'd already completed through my previous qualifications. Some of my credits counted as general education requirements, so that meant that they actually removed classes from my degree. But the open electives were slightly different. They didn't necessarily replace a specific class, but they reduced the total number of credits I needed to graduate. And to be honest, this didn't make any sense to me at first. I've got another video explaining how degrees actually work, so if you're a bit confused too, then go check that one out. But the thing you have to understand is, even though those 2 credit systems were working slightly differently, they were both moving me closer towards finishing my degree. Financially, those credits I'd just been given represented thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in tuition fees. And if they helped me graduate a semester earlier, that also meant saving on housing, meal plans, insurance, and all other costs that come with staying at university longer. That's when I realised that one simple conversation I had changed my entire degree. Now, this doesn't just apply to A-levels and UK qualifications like me, so let's have a look at whether this could apply for you. Depending on your university, it could also be worth checking if you have the following previous qualifications, like the IB, Scottish Highers, previous university study, recognised foundation programmes, or other international qualifications from your country. Even if you only completed 1 year of university before transferring, it's definitely still worth checking. The important thing isn't that it's on this list that I just mentioned. The important thing is to understand whether your university recognises it. And another important thing to understand is that each university has its own policies. Some universities might award a lot of credit and some might award very little. And some universities might not recognise your qualifications at all. That's also why this isn't automatic. Universities receive qualifications from all over the world, and each university has its own policies for evaluating them. But here's the good news. It costs nothing to ask. Even if your university awards only a few credits, that could still remove a class, reduce your tuition costs, or even help you graduate a little bit earlier. And if they say no, well, you've just lost a little bit of your time. And that's why I think that every international student needs to at least check before assuming they're starting from zero. So what should you do? If you've got any kind of previous qualifications, I think it's absolutely worth checking. If you're not sure where to start, send your registrar a simple email asking whether your previous qualifications can be evaluated for college credit and what documents they need from you. That one email could potentially save you thousands of dollars. If they ask for transcripts or other documents, then just send them across and then wait for the evaluation. Then, once it's been completed, check your degree audit and see how those credits have been applied. It costs nothing, and the worst thing that can happen is they'll just say no. After it worked for me, I actually recommended the same thing to a few of my friends. One of these asked his university to review his previous qualifications and ended up receiving 24 credits himself. Another received 21, and that is when I realised that this wasn't just a one-off. The biggest lesson from this video isn't that I received 24 college credits, it's that one simple question completely transformed my degree. And if you never ask, you never know. Most international students just assume that they start their college degree from zero, and that assumption can sometimes cost them thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars they don't even realise they're wasting. If you want my free top 5 ways to save $10,000 in college as an international student, check the description below. And if you found this helpful, subscribe and let me know, did you know this was possible? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.